Hey everybody, welcome back to another edition of Fuel Stop Chats. I'm James,
I'm Chris.
and tonight we have with us uh, Cindy Bentley Roberts.
Yes.
Yes. So Cindy is with us from a really great organization. We've been sort of talking about it in a lot of the motorcycle forums, Wreaths across America, and it's a one heck of a great organization. And Cindy is you're an area coordinator or regional coordinator.
I'm a location coordinator, but I share that duty with Randy Lauer, who is the actual coordinator. I'm co.
Okay. And is that location in your car? Because that's where we're looking to see you at right now.
One would think that that might be where it is. And I do work out of my car a lot. However, it is in Bushnell. The locals call it Bushnell. It's Florida National Cemetery in Bushnell, Florida.
All right. So
But
just
that's not where your car is.
no.
That is correct.
The car is stalking some tickets for a concert
Or two. Yes.
or two.
See,
We're
this
music
just brings-
fans here on Fuel
Yeah.
Stop Chats. We're music
me,
fans, so we
this
get it.
brings me back to high school. You know, everybody gets tickets online nowadays. You know, StubHub. I don't have to go. You know, just hurry up.
So
I can just-
boring.
yeah. No, you're actually stalking, sitting in line, camping out, waiting for tickets to go on sale tomorrow for concerts
Yes.
that don't play. What Strawberry Festival's in February?
Yes, they
Yeah.
do not play until actually the first week of March.
Well, we'll figure out all of that later. What I would like to know now, tell us a little bit about Wreaths Across America.
Wreaths Across America. It is an organization that's very near and dear to my heart, and I'm going to start with just kind of introducing you to my why. That's the easiest way for me to do that. Everybody that I've found with this organization has a why. You may not know what that is yet, but there's a reason why you're helping, why you're volunteering. My particular role is a volunteer role. I assist Randy Lauer with Florida National Cemetery and the backside of the event organization leading up to December 18th, which is when we will do the event. And I'll talk to you more about that as we move on. But my why started very differently than the role that I play right now currently as co-coordinator. My daughter, who was in American Heritage Girls, her entire high school, junior high age, needed some community service hours. And we heard about this motorcycle escort that was leaving from Saddle Creek Logistics in Lakeland, Florida. And we said, hey, let's go up, let's ride up with the escort. And at that time, vehicles, cars were allowed to ride in with it. That was the very last year that they stopped automobiles from being in it because it was so long and so large that year. So that was 2011. And we followed the escort up to the cemetery. We placed wreaths for the very first time, and we were both completely hooked. We have proceeded through and not missed an entire year. Like every single year we've been there to place a wreath, and every single year it's been different. We've met new people. We've embraced the coverage that they've done more and more every single year. They had added to it. So just to kind of let you know, Florida National Cemetery started in 2006 with their coverage. And at that time, they only did the 6 ceremonial wreaths. And so they moved forward, and now we're up to almost 50,000 wreaths. That's what our goal was this year. But in 2017, just to kind of backtrack a little bit, my father was laid to rest at Florida National Cemetery. So my why changed from just a simple little ride up on an escort, helping my daughter get community service hours and placing wreaths, to a very different reason why I was there and what my purpose was. I reached out to Randy that year, and that year in 2017, we placed a wreath on my dad's stone, and I got involved on the backside, helping Randy with the logistics of the event and making it happen. So I've been helping him ever since. My daughter and I are still placing wreaths together, we'll go up on December 18th and we'll place together there. And so that's my why, and that's the reason why I do it.
It's an amazing organization. Guy McDonald, one of the guys we work with, is the guy that actually introduced me to it and got me started in contributing. But Wreaths Across America, 2,500 locations in all 50 states at sea and abroad. And on the 18th, all 2,500 of those locations are getting wreaths on each headstone of fallen heroes. And that is just an incredible organization. I was a little choked up talking about it, but I mean, I've seen the work and the tribute that, it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, I think for me.
And the interesting thing about it.
No,
Go ahead.
No, you.
I was just going to say, we've already surpassed that 2,500 and we're over 3,000 locations.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah. What I was going to say is, I always thought it was just Arlington Cemetery that did this. And then, overseas in France, it was one of the national cemeteries that I actually went to and visited. It was during the summertime months, but I had seen pictures where the wreaths were there, and it was always something that I found just breathtaking.
Yeah.
Just that uniformity, the respect of it. And I was talking to a friend of mine, and he was telling me that, they go up to Arlington every year. His father-in-law is laid to rest there, and it's the reason why the whole family gets together is once a year they all get together and they go do Wreaths Across America. And I just thought that was phenomenal. So I told my wife, I was like, I'm able to be buried there. So when I die, burn me up, put the ashes somewhere with you, and then put the other half in Arlington. But it gives the reason for the family to all get together once a year and to do this. So I was looking into it, and then, Guy was what one of the guys that we work with that Chris was talking about Wreaths Across America, and he lives in Atlanta. So I said, are you going up to Arlington? He says, no, I'm doing it here. I didn't know it was local. So I've never done it before. And Cindy, I told you that. I've never done this before, but I am all in 100%, both feet. I'm not putting a toe in there. I'm doing the motorcycle escort, the whole 9 yards. I can't wait to be a part of this.
It's so interesting to hear people feedback, and we still on a daily basis just discover people that don't know anything about our organization. So hearing your feedback of just thinking that it's still only based in Arlington and that is the only place that the wreaths actually take place. I don't know if you both had a chance to learn a little bit more about how it started and that it did actually start in Arlington. So Maura Worcester owned Worcester Wreaths in Maine, and he had an overage. His family had an overage of wreaths one year, and they decided to get in touch with the powers that be in Washington, and they were able to place 500 wreaths that were just an overage in their company that year. And they had such a great time and such a great response from it that they came back for the next couple of years and did the same thing.
That's awesome.
And in 2006, they became a nonprofit, and they started doing it in other locations to help other sites. And that is when the numbers started to increase.
Holy cow. So from 2006 to 2021, they've grown to 3,000.
Yes, 3,000 locations, and last year we placed 2.4 million wreaths.
Wow.
2.3 million wreaths were placed last year.
Wow.
That's impressive.
Now, so, looking online, you can go to wreathsacrossamerica.org is the website. Yes. You can volunteer, or you can just buy a wreath and just donate the money for the wreath. Is that correct?
So we call it sponsorship, and we just want to remind everybody that when you sponsor a wreath, the wreath is going to the cemetery itself. So it belongs to the cemetery once it goes there. And it is not a Christmas wreath. It is a remembrance veterans wreath. And so it's being placed to remember a veteran. It's not a decoration. It is being placed to to have the veteran's name said and remembered and honored, and so that's why it's placed. You can go to wreathsacrossamerica.org. If you want to stipulate that wreath go to a specific place, then you can do that, and you can just look up where you want it to go, and you can sponsor a wreath right online for $15 per wreath.
Okay. Now, is there like a ceremony that goes with this, or you just sort of show up and fill up both arms with wreaths and head out? What am I looking at here when I get out there?
So, James, let me just ask you, are you going to Florida National this year?
Yes,
Is that where you will be going and partaking of the event?
I will be.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to speak to Bushnell. Every single cemetery does things a little differently.
Okay.
And so just to kind of backtrack a little bit and let you know, last year during COVID, our specific site in Florida National Cemetery, Bushnell, we placed 21,000 wreaths last year. Our goal was to do 35, but we fell short of that just a little bit. And we also chalk it up to being COVID. It was a crazy year for everybody.
Yeah.
So for us to even get 21,000, we were incredibly excited that number got to where it did. And so last year we did not do a ceremony. That was the first year that we did not. And we did a drive-through wreath distribution where we serviced 6,000 cars came through. And we did that from 8 a.m. in the morning until 2 o'clock in the afternoon, until every wreath was displaced out into the cemetery. And it was a great day. It moved like clockwork. Nobody got out of their car. We had a set number of volunteers. And so last year we did not have a ceremony. This year we will not have a ceremony either. However, we will be back to our normal placement, which will be trailers out into the cemetery itself. And what we're asking you to do is we're asking you to go to wreathsacrossamerica.org /FLNCBU, and that is Florida National Cemetery. And you'll sign up for an area. And that area is where our trailers will be positioned. You'll collect a wreath. We're guaranteeing that everybody will have at least 2, but we have 36,000 wreaths to disperse. So we're going to need all the hands we can get. If we have wreaths, come back to the trailers and get more. You take them out to the cemetery and you can place them anywhere you want to place them.
Now on the website, for people that are far away, so like I got people that live in Miami that are, 5-6 hours away from the Florida National Cemetery, 2,500 cemeteries across America. That's more than the national cemeteries that are there. So there's going to be locations in maybe your local town that could have a cemetery that's a part of this. Is there a way to figure that out on the website? There's just, you put in a zip code, or?
You can put in a zip code. For me, I would just put in Florida. It will give you a listing of what it is. So there's a couple of different ways that you can look it up. And I'm going to encourage you to go to a small ceremony. My only experience with Wreaths Across America is with Bushnell. I was telling Randy the other day, hey, I don't know how to think small because, there's 119,000 veterans placed at Florida National Cemetery. And my numbers are always big. So, but we have a ton of small private ceremonies and cemeteries that take place all over the state of Florida, all over the United States. And it could be that they're just placing the small ceremonial wreaths that are there. And they're just as important to be honored. We have a cemetery up in Cedar Key, and we have a location coordinator that jumped on board this year. And his goal was to find all the veterans this year, to have their graves cleared, and to get a small coverage. And I think that their numbers was under a couple hundred, and they got all their sponsorships, and they're super excited to just be covering it. So there's a lot to be said for just a small cemetery that's able to just have a more simple, involvement with the community that's local. And I encourage everybody to get involved.
Definitely. And if you can't, like I said, if you can't volunteer and you're not able to get to one of the locations, make sure you at least go to Wreaths across the Oregon donate and pay to help out. I know your coverage was for their goals, and they're still, some are 45, 50%. So it's not too late to look up a location near you, or if you don't have a preferred location. But get involved by donating, get involved with placing the wreaths. I know here in close to Gettysburg and Antietam, where I live, there's a luminary lighting where they put the little luminaires with the paper bag with the candle in it, and then they have a nighttime drive, through. So there's different ways people celebrate, but I'm a big fan of the Wreaths Across America for sure.
It's a great organization that anybody can get involved with. You do not have to have a veteran that is a loved one that's passed. You can just come out and help us place. Like I said, for Bushnell in particular, it's going to take some hands to get those 36,000 wreaths placed out there. So anybody can help. This is an easy way that you can just give back and thank a veteran.
Now, with the motorcycle escort, I mean, do you know of, do all the locations, do all of the national cemeteries do a motorcycle escort? I'm sure that it's cold up in North Dakota to do something like that. Or, should they just reach out to their local cemeteries and see if they're doing any kind of motorcycle escorts?
So most of the time for our particular location, we'll have those details listed. And yes, we will have 2 escorts from Bushnell, but not every cemetery does the motorcycle escorts. So super important for you to check those details out. Maybe you're one of those people that can help get involved and get that process started for your local cemetery if that's something that they're interested in doing. Another way for you to become a volunteer and help with the movement, moving the mission forward.
Well, that's great. I think we've chewed up a lot of your time here this morning or this evening. Have you figured out what bands it is that you're trying to buy tickets for yet?
So I do know that my daughter has quite the list. There's, if you know anything about the Florida Strawberry Festival, it's got some oldies. You've got and you've got some newer bands that are coming in. My daughter wants to see Cole Swindell and Lady Antebellum, but you do have some older ones. The Oak Ridge Boys will be there, and they have quite a mixture. And so I'm excited to just see how this movement is with us coming in out of COVID. And they didn't have acts last year, so everybody's excited to just see that happening again.
Yeah, no kidding.
It just brings me back to being in high school and waiting in line to get concert tickets. It's just old school mentality. I like it. So, Chris, you got anything else?
No, I was just sitting here reading a little bit more about the Wreaths Across America, the truckers that get involved. There's activity for them to participate in trucking the wreaths in. There's the motorcycle escort. I know in St. Louis that they have something like that my cousin participates in. And it's just one of those things where you just want to get out and get involved and find out what's near my house. Where can I go volunteer and do this on December 18th? And to think, 2.3 million, you said, wreaths?
Yes.
All being, on December 18th. That's just incredible. And what a great way to honor veterans.
Yeah, and just to throw this one out there for the Arlington crew. I know that I've had a lot of friends go there and do it, and the biggest thing is the parking, because it's just horrendous up there in DC that they're usually have to park a mile to 2 miles away and walk it in. A motorcycle escort gets you all the way in.
Save you a little walking.
Save some walking.
I know that Arlington has quite the movement when they place wreaths. The last several years they've had full coverage, so their dynamics and logistics, I know what ours look like, and I can only imagine what Arlington's do. They actually have an opportunity for family to come in. They've done some things differently with COVID and kind of played with those dynamics. So there's lots of movements for Arlington. And yes, you are correct. Lots of walking to do with that area.
You're gonna get your steps in, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's a big
I-
that's a big place.
I did want to remind you guys, Chris, you brought up something really great about the truckers. The truck drivers, a fun little fact is that each one of them that go to Maine from these carriers, that they're donating their time. They're donating their rig, their gas, and their time to go to Maine, pick up wreaths, and then take them down to our locations. It is just crazy watching all of the movements of that. So that's what they're doing this week. They are loading trucks. I spoke to somebody this morning from Maine. They said that they had some snow that was expected back in this afternoon, that most of the trucks are pretty well loaded. Arlington escort will begin on Sunday. And so that's a really big movement. You can follow that along on the Wreaths Across America National Facebook page, the official page. And that's a lot of fun. They stop along the way. They help educate along the way, and the big movement is to getting those trucks into Arlington and watching that escort along.
That's awesome.
Think about that, man. With the price of diesel fuel these days, these guys are volunteering an awful lot to make this event happen all across the United States. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine. I didn't know that. That sort of took me back a little bit. So yeah, that's just wonderful.
Yeah, having friends that are truckers that own their own rigs. Not only are they donating their time and their rig and their fuel, but that's time they're not hauling on a paid job.
Yep, it's time.
So it's a significant sacrifice to make the haul. But it's again, you know, you think about the logistics and the people that are involved and all the volunteers needed to pull that off. And you know, most people get the wreath, you know, from the car in the cemetery, but how did the wreath get there? From where did it come? You know, who drove that tractor trailer full of wreaths, or tractor trailers, you know, full of wreaths to get to where they are? Cindy, do you know much about the facility in Maine where they're making the wreaths?
I have not toured it, Chris. That is on my bucket list to make that happen. Probably going to do that this year. But I know a lot about the details. The property there actually has a tip land where they grow the trees, and the trees are tipped every 3 years. They rotate around. And the really interesting, cool thing about it is it's not the whole branch. They have special tools where they go in and they just tip them. And so they are harvesting these tips from the tip land, creating these wreaths right on site, adding the bow to them, and then they are putting them into the boxes. There's 9 wreaths that go in every single box, and then they get loaded up onto trucks. And it's just amazing to me, the logistic details. And this happens every single year. And they just keep moving the mission forward.
Yeah, it's incredible. I want to go up there. I want to go up on a bike ride, and I think they start harvesting. I think they were saying that late summer, early fall.
Yes.
To get these things made. I was like, man, that'd be a great time to do a bike ride and go up and take a visit and see where all these wreaths are made.
But yeah, that's a thing I was just about to say, is that, you know, this is, you know, like a time sensitive thing. It's not like they're making these all year. I mean,
no, they can't. They wouldn't be green.
It's a living product. So, well, slowly dying product, if you will. To get them made to come down and to go across, you know, the entire country. Now, the wreaths that are made in Maine, are those also flown over for the national cemeteries in France and elsewhere?
When we started our overseas prior to COVID. And so we're hoping to reconnect that back, hopefully next year. And that is something that's just kind of been put on hold until we know more about what that looks like, detail-wise with the COVID. But that is something that is very near and dear to Wreaths Across America, and we want to continue to move that mission out beyond the U.S. borders. I understand that they are placing in Guam this year, and that's kind of cool in and of itself, you know, that detail. But yes, the mission overseas is definitely something that we want to continue to push forward on doing. So those are going out well ahead of
Wow.
schedule. So yes, you have to remember that it's not just the over 3,000 locations locally, around the U.S. It is also anything abroad that's going to go out, and they have to be specially flown out. And again, donations made and sponsorships. And so that's why the sponsorships are so incredibly important. And that's why we continue to push that throughout the year and encourage these big corporations to step in. But we want to be mindful that every single wreath counts. And so even just the smallest person that is sending in $15 for one specific wreath to be placed, every single wreath counts. It doesn't matter what you're stepping up to sponsor. It doesn't matter what you can give. I always tell people, do one a month. That way you've done 12 before the end of the year. You've already filled a box. And so it's a great way to look at it. Just every single wreath counts.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah.
Every single wreath counts. That's a great point. And I love the idea of budgeting it out across the year. It's coming every year. $15. What is that? A cup of Starbucks coffee once a week. Thank you, Starbucks,
Really?
for donating to Wreaths Across America.
3 gallons of gas.
There you go.
Well, it's a fantastic cause. I'm really glad you took time to sit and explain it to us, and take time out of your line holding. I'm sure it's, it's not 30 degrees down there. So at least there's that blessing. If you were sitting outside waiting on tickets up here, that'd be pretty hardcore. It's getting cold up here in Pennsylvania.
We've been lucky. We've had some great weather this week. Really looking.
Oh, she must have tapped her mute button. She was saying something about it getting way down into like 65, I think. James was shuddering.
I know. Yeah.
Shivering.
Hey, it rained out a little while ago. My car's wet.
Yeah. It did. It sprinkled on us. We had a little bolt there for a minute.
Now, when it starts raining, you got to go back to the car for an important call while your daughter stays outside in line, right?
Yeah, that's totally how that went down.
It should be how it works, right?
As long as you're bringing coffee and donuts back when you come back from the car, you're good.
Yeah, that's fair.
I love it. I love that idea.
All right, Cindy, I appreciate your time tonight so much. Again, wreathsacrossamerica.org. It's a great organization. Even if you can't get out there and volunteer your time on December 18th, try to get out there and donate $15 or $30 or whatever you can afford. It's all going to a great cause to honor the fallen hero.
Well, and I tell you, I think, so like on the YouTube, you guys you'll get to see a couple of pictures of that, Guy has some beautiful photos of cemeteries that were done and decorated and by the Wreaths Across America folks. We'll include the web link for you to get involved and get your donations in, and start planning for next year where you want to join up and donate. And you got a couple of weeks
to plan for this year. You got a couple weeks.
10 days. You got 10 days. If you can find a place near you to get involved, highly recommend it. And like they say, it's definitely better to give than receive. And what a great way to give to the veterans that gave so much for us.
Yep. So Cindy, thank you again. Go ahead.
Yes, I just wanted to say thank you to the both of you. Whenever we have an opportunity to help move the mission forward, that's an opportunity for us to help educate others, for us to just be mindful that whenever you place a wreath, and I'm just going to go back to simplicity with this, we always remind our volunteers, anybody that helps us place wreaths, of 3 very simple things. And I've kind of added one with that, is that wreath has traveled a very long way. So we ask you to fluff it up a little bit. It's been in a box with 8 other wreaths. And so when it's placed, it's just as important as the next one. And when you go up to that veteran's grave, you want to remember them. So you're going to say their names, say it out loud, speak their names. You're going to honor them just by saying a simple thank you. That's really all they ever wanted, was just a simple thank you, because they've fought and given up sacrifices for us, for our country. And that's just a simple way of doing that. So we want to remember and honor those veterans when we place that wreath this year. And you can still get involved. Yes, you're so right. this year, James. Look up a place. I encourage you to just find out more about Wreaths Across America, what the organization is about, learn about it. Grab a veteran. Bring somebody that would appreciate coming. Bring your children. We want to continue to move that mission forward. Remember, honor, teach is about teaching the next generation how important all of these details are.
That's a biggie right there.
Yep.
That's a biggie right there. I love that. Teach the younger generation to carry this forward and speak their names so they're not forgotten. That's really, really, really important. So, James, we have a destination for a fuel stop chat ride to Maine to see where all the wreaths are made. And we could do like a part 2 episode of this.
I have no problem going back up to Maine. You know I like riding up there.
Yeah, I loved riding up there. I'm no kidding. It's beautiful up there. We could spend a little bit more time in Vermont this time and make a little trip over to Maine and find that place. And that'd be a great thing to talk about and do maybe a live broadcast like we did from Deals Gap.
Yeah.
Do one from Maine.
Yeah. Maybe we'll get you to ride your bike up Mount Washington this time. Get your little sticker on the back.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I didn't get time to do that last time.
No, you did not. I did.
I had meetings.
It was great.
I know.
Cold up there, but it was
I had
great.
meetings in Boston. I had to peel out for. But I need. Yeah. So now we got the whole route thing planned.
There we go.
Good.
All right. Thanks, Cindy. You got us all
Thank
set
you.
for
You're
another
welcome.
vacation.
Let us know how the concert goes. Well, what is that?
I will.
March?
March.
Yeah,
Yes.
we'll have to catch up. We'll do a post Wreaths Across America event interview, but we'll have to wait until March to figure out how this all came together with the concert and everything.
Well, we'll report back, and I'll give you guys numbers for this past year and how logistics went this year for 2021.
Awesome.
And we'll move into 2022, and we'll set our new goal out for next year. We're hoping to have a ceremony next year, be back to our normal schedule on site. And so that'll just bring in the push that everybody can start early with their sponsorship.
That's
Perfect.
fantastic. That'd be great. We'll
All
get
right,
everybody
sounds great.
started in March so they can start setting aside their monthly stipend so they can buy a box.
Exactly.
Exactly.
All right. Well,
Well,
we're
thank
about
you
out of
again.
time. Thanks again, Cindy. Chris, another great episode. Yeah, ride her out.
Thanks, James. Great episode, Cindy. See ya.
Thank you
Ride her out.
both.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.